Welcome to Research Talk. Um, as an instructor, as a teacher, uh, I spend a lot of time with doc students, and oftentimes I have observed that students sometimes are confused, or maybe like they use these two words synonymously, which is theoretical framework and conceptual framework. So the purpose of making this video is to explain these two concepts and just make sure that you get the idea what is a theoretical framework and what is conceptual framework, how these two concepts are similar or different. So let's begin. So a theoretical framework is an existing research theory that a researcher uses to inform their study. While a conceptual framework is a concept developed by the researcher and grounded in the lit review, and that informs the study that the researcher is doing. So that's a major difference. When you say theoretical framework, it's already a developed theory. It is already a theory in the field that as a researcher, I use it to inform my study. And when I say inform my study, it could be at multiple levels, maybe like inform my interview protocol, inform my data analysis, data collection, as well as data analysis. Similarly, a conceptual framework informs this study in the same way: interview protocol, data collection, and data analysis. So both these concepts, they inform the study. However, a theoretical framework is already a developed theory in the field that you borrow and use it in your study to inform your study. While the conceptual framework, it is a conceptual framework developed by the scholar, by the researcher, and you develop it based on the literature review. So you go into the literature, and based on what is there, you develop a conceptual framework, and you use this framework in decision making in terms of your interview protocol, your data collection process, and data analysis process. So this is major difference between theoretical framework and conceptual framework. Let's understand it with an example. Let's say I want to do a study, a qualitative study to understand international students' experience in doctoral program in the U.S. Higher education, let's say. So I want to understand international student experiences in the United States higher education. So that's my research focus. That's what I want to know, what that experience looks like, what might be some possible challenges that international students face when they come to US for higher education, or let's say what are some challenges as well as some support they have. So I want to understand their experiences here when they come to US as students. Now I can use, let's say, a theory which is called salad bowl theory as a theoretical framework. So what this theory is, salad bowl theory talks about how people who migrate from one culture to another culture, how they integrate themselves in the culture where they have migrated. So the salad ball theory says that people, so there is another theory which said melting pot, which means that people from different cultures, they come together and they sort of melt together and totally gel and become a different thing in that process. While the salad ball theory is when people migrate from one culture to another culture, they become like a salad in a ball, meaning that despite uh, mingling in all these different ingredients in the salad, they maintain their unique taste. Like you see in a salad, all the vegetables that you have, they maintain their uniqueness, but also they come together and create a different taste. So this theory can be used to inform how international students, when they come to US, sort of process their experience. Despite they gelling into the culture of United States, in what ways they sort of maintain their unique cultural personal identities. So this theory, which is already a developed theory, so this theory is already a developed theory, and as a researcher who is interested in understanding international student experiences in US higher education, I can use this theory as a theoretical framework to inform my study. So I can use this theory when I'm analyzing the data and see how this theory might inform the data that I have collected. So that's an example of a theoretical framework. Now let's say I'm doing the same study, but I want to use a conceptual framework instead of a theoretical framework. So in that case, what I could do, I can go into the literature and see what is already some work being done on international students' experiences uh, in higher education. And based on those literature, I can develop a conceptual framework. So a conceptual framework could be that international students' experiences in US is determined by several factors. One is if the student already has a relative in US. So if a student who is coming to US for higher ed, let's say this person is the only member from his or her family and coming here, versus a student who may already have some relatives living in different parts of United States. So this might kind of influence how a student process and sort of experience this new culture here. I can also develop a conceptual framework around another factor, which is like the financial condition of the student. So let's say if as a doctoral student, if I'm coming to US in higher ed and I have a very strong financial background, then as a student, along with my studies, I don't have to worry about my tuition and my daily expenses and lodging, food, and all these charges. However, if a student is coming to US for higher ed with limited resources, now this person at the end of every semester, they have to think about, okay, I need to find out some scholarships, I need to maintain my GPA at a certain level so that I could be eligible for more scholarships, and also sort of finding out opportunities to work on campus, uh, some jobs which are available on campus to at least pay some and take care of some of those financial expenses. So, so this example, so here in this study, based on my literature, I can devise, I can create a conceptual framework that I can use when I'm analyzing my data, when I'm collecting data, or when I'm developing my interview protocol. So that's in summary about theoretical framework and conceptual framework. Let's summarize it again. So a theoretical framework is a existing theory, a theory which is already developed. As a researcher, I use this theory to inform my study, so that's theoretical framework. A conceptual framework is not an existing theory. It is a framework being developed by the scholar, the researcher, and it is grounded in the literature. So it's not like, okay, it's not a figment of imagination of the researcher. It's a concept, it's a conceptual framework developed by the scholar based on existing literature. So that's briefly about theoretical framework and conceptual framework. I hope it helps. Thank you and see you again.